One day, James and Percy were at the sheds. They were talking about who would pull the new special. The new special was going to be found at the inspector's place. The inspector's place they never saw before. The inspector's place had never, ever evolved into this. They never even knew that there was going to be an inspector's place. Just then, Thomas the Tank Engine arrived a few minutes late. He tried to pull the special, but he probably didn't know why. Didn't do it. "Ow!" said Thomas. "Ow! Oh, my boiler!" "What's wrong?" asked Percy, the smallest green engine. "It's probably a boiler ache," said James. "Yeah, right," said Percy. "It doesn't sound very boiler achy." "Be quiet," said Thomas. "I have other things on my mind than engines. I don't have a boiler ache, but I do have an ache from pulling that special." "I knew it," said Percy. "Where did you go to the special?" "The special? I didn't even know where the special was." "So how did you get the special?" said Percy. "I got a long goods train at Nafford. I thought that was a special." "You are probably wrong," said Percy and James. "I wasn't," said Thomas. After Percy and Thomas left the sheds, James was going to talk to them and pull the special at the same time, but he didn't know how. He hid inside the shed so the engines wouldn't hear his talking. When James was done with his talking, he puffed away. Thomas was waiting at Nafford Station when James arrived. "Hi," said Thomas. "Hello," said James. Said James. "Why are you by the resting siding?" "It's not called a resting siding. It's called the end of the line." "Anyways," said James, "why are you pulling Ryan over there in the back?" "'Cause," said Thomas, "you were the one who told me to do it earlier. I told you to do that 5 weeks ago." "Yeah, well, Harvey is still derailed," said Thomas. "Yeah, right," said James. "He could have picked himself up." "Blah, blah, blah," said Thomas, and he raced away to go do his work. He backed up and raced away. Meanwhile, James started puffing along the line towards the inspector's place. The inspector's place was, you had to go past the quarry line, and then you had to take the switch. And then you had to go right. James puffed away. When James arrived at the docks, he saw a freight train in front of him. It was a little bit too small for James. "Hello," said Cranky. "Hi," said James. "What are you talking about today?" said Cranky. "Nothing. I'm talking about you shunting this load." "Shunting," said James. If you don't want to shunt, you're going to have to go all the way back around the island. Turn around." "I only care if I don't have to do shunting." "By the way," said James, "the T-switch is only over there," he said to himself. "I could get there in a flash." "We'll see about that," said Cranky. James raced back through the docks. James had crashed at the bottom of Gordon's Hill. He didn't know what had crashed him. But James thought about it, but nothing came to his head. But the inspector was standing right under the tunnel where James had crashed. And he was so clever, he made James one of the smartest engines on the island of Sodor crash. At least the 5th smartest. James soon got up from the mess, but had no idea who did the mess to him. Meanwhile, it would take him a long time to turn the train around, because tender engines on the island of Sodor don't really like to shunt things, but the other way around, not that way. James soon had to turn around all the way. Then, finally, he was turned around and coupled to the train. James backed up on the train. The points were set, and James shunted away. Then James had to back up on the train to make sure it was going good. James puffed to the inspector's place, and he soon arrived there. Special. Then, all of a sudden, he saw a palace instead. Then all of a sudden, James threw up in the air and fell down toward Cranky. Cranky was so startled that he fell down onto the track. James or the other engines never got to get to the new inspector. I'm just saying, if you ever go to the island of Sodor and meet this inspector, I'm going to tell you this time. No one knew the mystery of dun dun dun, the clever inspector.